When you play sport or you have a talent at a young age, you're so excited to just explore that talent that you just start building as quick as you want. You get an opportunity here, make this squad, and before you know it, you're just stacking blocks and you're building this tower without even really thinking about emotional cost and relationship cost and lifestyle cost and things like that.
I could absolutely sacrifice my relationship with my partner, my relationship with my kids, and in 12, 18 months, this business could be 10 times the size. How do you find the balance?
So I think you've always got to start with another trap that people get into. It's like, when my business has turned over $1 million, oh, that'll be successful. When it's 10, then it'll be successful. I want to make $1 billion. And then you're a slave to it.
Self-sacrifice, delayed gratification. I think they're two things that people really struggle with these days because
So Alex, when we sat down a year ago, I think it was about a year, you shared something at the end and it kind of got me thinking. I want you to unpack it a bit more, but we're talking about when you stepped out of your AFL career. And I think you said something along the lines of, before you build your tower, people need to consider if they'll enjoy the view from the top of it. Can you unpack that and what you meant by that?
Yeah. And your boys' stories will be very similar. When you play sport or you have a talent at a young age, you're so excited to just explore that talent that you just start building as quick as you want. So I'm playing soccer, football, whatever it is. I'm great at this. I'm in this talent league. I'm this pathway. Get an opportunity here, make this squad. And before you know it, you're just stacking blocks and you're building this tower without even really thinking about purpose or where do I think this will lead or what are the flow-on effects, what's it going to cost me, and not just cost as in like financial cost. We're talking about emotional cost and relationship cost and lifestyle cost and things like that. So I'd say I started playing football when I was 12, but I never really got serious until 16. When I was 16, I made my first state team, and that's when the bricks started stacking. I didn't even think about what would my life look like in 10 years' time when I was a professional athlete trying to juggle relationships, trying to juggle family. I was just like, how good's this? Let's go. And so, who's going to have that foresight at 16 anyway? So I think it's more about just surrounding yourself with good people that can keep you grounded and just keep doing like a level check. So we're at level 3 now of the Alex Rance Tower of professional sport. Let's check the view and just see how we're thinking. Still good? Sweet. Stack. We're at level 10. How do we think we're looking? Still good? There's a few things. How can we pivot? All right, let's put some more windows over this side then and see how we can open the tower a bit. So that's, I guess, the analogy that I sort of opened up a bit.
Yeah.
mate, in hindsight, right, the way you talk about the tower and from the conversation we had about you actually felt quite empty, even though you're at the top of the pinnacle of the sport. If you can go back to 16-year-old Alex Rance, would you choose a different path?
It's such a good question. I've mulled it over my head many times. I don't think I would have this self-awareness if I hadn't have gone to that point. I think my personality is naturally, you've got to experience the limit to know how hot it is type of thing. So I do regret some of the lack of awareness that I had when I was young, that I was just so single-minded and focused on execution and just being the best, that it cost me some things that I wish I could take back. But I'm happy with the person that I am now, that I can hopefully help other people just to do that check. But also dig into their personality type, because sometimes they need to be all gas and just exhaust that, and then, okay, let's check. Not everyone is as measured as sort of like level 2 check, level 10 check, level 15 check. So I don't think I would change too much. I would just probably try and rein it in a little bit, take 10% off.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because like similar in the AFL world, in our world, in football in England, but also even the business world. Like if you want to have real success, there's an element where you have to go all in and go fuck everything else. Yep. Like they're the guys that hit the top. Yeah. And we could do it now with the business. Like I could absolutely sacrifice my relationship with my partner, my relationship with my kids, and in 12, 18 months, this business could be 10 times the size of what it is. How do you find the balance? Because a lot, and it's the same. The reason I make the correlation to business is because a lot of people that listen to this are thinking, or they've just started a business, or they're thinking about a business idea, but they've got the worries of, I've got a mortgage, or I've got kids, I've got a partner. How do I just fucking juggle it all?
I'm really curious about this space too. So I think you've always got to start with purpose. Is if you're resetting, and so my business is called Momentality, and because I was always really curious about in sport, why do teams lose momentum? Like, why don't they just steamroll a team for the whole game and beat a team 15-0 like they do when you're in junior soccer?
Yeah.
Or, why is it that some games you can feel like the ball is just coming into your hands and it's just like crisp as, and other times you feel like your hands are made of concrete. Like there's just, you've got that feeling of momentum, or sometimes you don't. And the same goes in life is why is it there's some seasons of your life you feel like you're just pushing it uphill, like you are just working so hard and getting nowhere, and other times you're just like, I'm trying to bat away opportunities because there's so many opportunities. So, but with that concept of momentality and having the mindset of gaining and maintaining momentum, it always has to start with purpose. So if you just start the momentum, and again, building the tower piece, if you don't have the right purpose, then I think that can start to bring you unstuck. And I when I went out of football, I didn't have a purpose. I was just kind of like, I just know that I don't need to be here, and I've got this generic sort of fugazi purpose of just spending more time with my family and my faith. And that's like a really easy coverall, just to say, I just want to not do what I've done before. Instead of going, this is what giving my best to my family looks like, and putting some, for lack of a better word, KPIs around it and measurables around it. This is what improving my faith looks like, and putting some measurables around that. So I think that's how you can tie purpose to things, is if you can start to put some goals towards it, then you can work out how you can actually achieve them, rather than just meandering around, because I think that's where unfulfillment lives, and then you'll start to maybe lean on other unhealthy things because you're not feeling fulfilled.
So how do you find your purpose then? So you seem quite clear, family and faith. Right, after football, that was what's going to be important to me. What if you haven't got those two obvious, fully committed choices? How would you then go and uncover what you actually think your purpose should be?
That comes down to an emotional feeling. I think you've got to try a heap of things to work out what gives you whatever happiness looks like for you. And happiness is, again, another coverall, but for me, it was peace. So when I can put my head on the pillow at night and just go, life's good. Like I feel okay with what I've achieved today. So peace was a big one, and then helping others was another one. So that was just mine. But for other people, whatever gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling, that is the start of your purpose, I believe. That the more you can do, and because it's the same old question where people ask, what would you do if money wasn't an option? Like, what would you do that made you happy as a job? Again, it comes back to that emotional feeling. So if you can start with that feeling instead of just like build and busyness, and people lose that. What's the emotional connection to what I'm doing? Does it make me feel happy? Does it make me feel peaceful? Does it make me feel fulfilled? Like I'm a good human?
Yeah. I was watching a video the other day, and it kind of goes into what you said. Like when, I think it was a professor, he was a doctor and now lecturing, something like that. And he said he's been with thousands and thousands of people when they're dying on their deathbed, and not one of them lay there and went, go and get me my AFL Premiership medal.
Yeah.
Go and get me my my big. Alex is wearing his now, by the way. But they don't say, go and get me my business awards or the fucking financial report from when our business is 50 mil. He's like, in that final moments, they just want their family, the people around them that mean most. And again, it's hard because it gives you a bit of a head wobble, where like I sit there and go, well, okay, what are we doing this for? And there's definitely those more kind of family-based things and a life, but it's also like sometimes those financial goals and pushing and working harder than the average person and working a bit longer than the average person are what then achieves the financial goals that gives your family the freedom and experience that you can lie on your deathbed and go, fuck, we had a great time. That's the difficulty I'm finding.
And again, as I talked about the coverall of family and faith, you still need to put what does a happy family life look like for us? And then what's the financial level we need for that? Because I think that's another trap that people get into. It's like, when my business has turned over $1 million, that'll be successful. When it's 10, then it'll be successful. When it's 100, then it'll be successful. I want to make $1 billion. And then you're a slave to it. Rather than just saying, what realistically do I need for my family to be happy? Do I want to go on a holiday every year? Do I want to own my house? Or do I just want to rent? Or whatever you want, you need to put more thought into it. And this is why I think most successful entrepreneurs, and this is one thing I lacked out of football, and I'm sure a lot of the UK boys would as well, and professional athletes, you don't know how to budget because you got more money than you know how to spend at that time in your life. So you just straight over, rather than going, how much is petrol? How much is food? How much is entertainment? What do I want to spend on clothing? What do I spend on shelter over my head? You don't fully have a good grasp of it. And then you finish and you think, I need 600 grand a year to survive. And then you think about how many people in Australia would earn 600 grand a year. There wouldn't be many. Like
0.00%.
Low. So it's about them winding it back to going, what's a luxury? What's a need? And does it really make me happy? Can I just walk along the beach on a Sunday with my dog and my wife and have the best day spending $0? Or do I need to go to Pac Fair and buy Gucci bags and, these new Yeezys or whatever? I don't know if they're Yeezys are really big anymore. So I'm not a fashionista, as you can tell. But sometimes, and it's such a cliche comment, the best things in life don't cost you anything.
I think your comment about the coverall is awesome, because I'm thinking now of, if I'm going to find my purpose, if you look externally, there's so much noise about what success looks like. You go on Instagram and you're seeing people on yachts and doing God knows what. It's easy to get caught up in that and then aspire to be that. And then, as you did with AFL, potentially you get there and you feel empty. So it takes actually a bit of strength, right, to kind of ignore the noise around you and look inwards and go, like, great question, if money's not a thing, what would I want to do? And me and my wife actually had this conversation yesterday about what's our perfect week. I think it's a Hormozy podcast he did. And he goes, for Alex's circumstance, he said, if I train, if I eat good food and I share that food with friends, I'm more likely than not going to have a good day. So we try to factor those three things into every single day. And more often than not, he has a good week and then he has a good month and so on. So, and those three things, he's worth squillions, right? But he goes to the gym, which we can all do. He eats good food, which luckily we've all got, the ability to do. And he shares it with friends. You can have $10 million or you can have 10. You can make those three work. So it's so interesting.
Yeah, drive around in his Lamborghini wasn't on that list.
No.
I think it was Ben, actually. He said something to me that really struck home. He just said, obviously the boys here have got a super successful business. It's massive. But he says you could take every single dollar away from me tomorrow and I'd still love my life. Like, it's still, because the way they, the way him and Ali are with their children and their beliefs and their values and how they live. He's like, you could take everything away tomorrow and I'd still be happy. Like, the guy drives a RAV4.
He's so funny, Kia Carnival. He's happy to roll around in that. And he is one of the few people that I would genuinely believe that. Because some people will say
without doubt.
But then it's like, show me.
Really?
I want to call you bluff. Like, if you actually had to drive around in a Kia Carnival when you're worth, X amount of $1 million, would you? If you had to rock up to your mates, all your mates are rocking up to the pub together or out to a nice dinner, like, if you were rolling up in a Kia Carnival and your boys like, what are you doing here? Would you just rock it and be like, yeah, I love my Kia Carnival. It's so good. Fits all my family in there. We go on trips together. Would you own it, or would you be like, Ali had to take the car and so I could only have the Kia, and he loves it. It's not a thing for him.
What about energetics wise then? Because he's so comfortable and happy with what he's got and he could lose it all. The way the world works, naturally you attract more because you don't need it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's the values, like, his why is far beyond financial rewards. And similar to kind of what you said there, like, go back and go, what does a happy a happy life look like for me? And you probably go, okay, this is what I'm striving towards from also an experience point of view. What's the financial number I need behind that? Yeah. I think there's two beautiful levels to this. Like one, it's you don't fall into that trap of, I want to do $1 million a year. Why $1 million? And I did this when we started Harwell.
We literally had this conversation on the podcast.
What's your goal? I want to earn $1 million a year. And Jess Cameron, our mindset coach, why? I don't know, just $1 million. Sounds good. And that's where you can fall into that trap of once you get to $1 million, that's the 100 grand. Like you say, it's 10 million. So it stops you getting on that hedonic treadmill of just constantly chasing. Yeah. But then I think as well, because you've manufactured what this perfect life is, you'll get up and go out of bed every day. Yes, it's obviously the financial push to get to those numbers that give you that. But the real core of it is I'm going to go and build this life where it is a walk on the beach with my wife and the dog on a Thursday at 10 a.m. because I can.
Yeah.
Like that's the levels you get to. And I think that the purpose then is so much easier to follow rather than, I wanted to do $1 million this year. We only did 800K. Oh, I'm angry. You just made 800K.
Yeah. And I think the concept of family is something really interesting too, to tease out, that we think about family as just sort of that immediate wife and kids. But I think another motivating factor when I think about Ben and the success that he's had scaling such a large business is he looks at his employees as family. Because what would stop him just going, we've got enough work, I'm just going to sit here. Like he's still growing the business and not in a money hungry, win at all costs mentality. He just grows it steadily. And because he isn't hunting it, it just naturally comes to him. But his why from a business perspective, and it's probably deeper than this, but he doesn't want anyone to not have a job. He wants to provide for them. So it's almost like they're his family too. And I'm sure it's the same with you boys, that you want your business to be successful, not just for the $1 million anymore. It's like, I want to keep like Andy in a job, and I want to keep the girls in a job. And it's about creating stability in a safe family environment that it's worth more than the dollar value. It's about security. It's that feeling rather than the actual tangible bit.
I think the magic of knowing what a good life looks like for you gives you so much conviction to turn down opportunities that aren't aligned to that as well. I think, and we're probably definitely guilty of this a few times, is not necessarily shiny object syndrome, but the better you get in life and you live experiences as well, the more things become available to you and different avenues and pathways. Well, I think if you're super clear on what that life looks like, you've really got a clear contrast of, does that fit in or does it not? And then do we say yes or no? My question for you, and this is, again, I always do this on this podcast, are selfish questions I want to know the answer to and hope everyone else does. How do you assess and analyze an opportunity? And like, yes, it's going to be in terms of your why, but what are some of the traits of the person, the whole, I guess, scope of, you've got this opportunity on the table. What's the thinking for you to go, is that for me or is it not?
I'm a really bad person to ask that because, as I explained before, my natural inclination is just to say yes, let's go. So I'm a bit of a people pleaser, but also just like what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, me too.
Type of, so just let's give it a crack. So another story straight out of football is I jumped into a business venture with a mate of mine and it went really bad. Like lost a lot of money. Because I didn't fully go through the due diligence process. And I asked you guys as you were walking up the other day, do you do any personality profiling or leadership profiling? And when I find it really interesting because my personality profile is very much about creativity and the inception of an idea. But when it comes to detail and like nutting out whether it's actually going to be viable, that's the opposite end of the thing for me. So I need to really slow down. Like that's the key for me in determining what I should take on and what I shouldn't is I need to, most people say sleep on it. I need to spend a week sleeping on it because I need to hash it over, let the emotion, the initial excitement of a new idea fade away. And then the logic and then the actual process and what's this going to cost me start to come back. And if it's still there in a week, then I'll have a crack at it then. But usually if someone's trying to rush me to make a decision, I shouldn't do it. But that's just me learning me over time. Some people can make decisions way quicker than that, but I just know my personality now.
Yeah. Is that something you've had to learn and that kind of identity shift from 5-time All-Australian, I think it was.
Yeah.
You've come out of the AFL game, and then now effectively you're career changing, and you've got to change your entire life. And I know, again, there'll be a lot of people listening to this podcast, very different things. There'll be someone that's been in a career for a certain amount of time. They're working in a salary job for someone, and they're probably conscious they need to make change, but they're also sat there thinking it's super hard, super scary. How?
Yeah. And it is hard. Like, if you think about riding a bike, you don't go from, like, if you're going uphill and so down a hill and up a hill, you don't go from like the biggest gear flying down a hill and then you hit and stay on the same gear. You've got to gear back and then build the momentum and slowly get your cadence up, and then you can start to build pace again. So if I think about my transition from sport, I was biggest gear, flying downhill, feeling like I was $1 million, and well, literally and physically and metaphorically. And then it was like dead stop. In some cases, rolling backwards. So I was in this business. I was in a relationship with my ex-wife. Like it was that didn't. So I was like going backwards, trying to work out like how far back am I going to go before I can actually start to get some cadence. Yeah. So again, that started with what actually gives me worth and value and makes me feel that feeling. And I've got a bit of an idea that I want to work with AFL players coming out of the game, is because so much of our identity is tied up with our physicality. So time me, measure me, weigh me. That validates me until I can work out what it is, the other things that actually make me of value to society. Just give me that. So I've started doing some high rocks and things like that, which is like super measurable, like everything you can measure in it. So that helped me to transition out, was me staying fit, staying healthy. And everyone thought that I was doing it because I wanted to come back to football. It's like, oh, you're looking good. Like, what are you training for? And I was like, just so I can feel like I'm of worth, because that's the only thing that I have right now. And then I'll start to layer in relationships, and I'll start to layer in business, and I'll start to layer in other things. But just finding that one thing and just holding on to that, I think, is really important, because if you do go back to zero, that's when it can be a pretty dark place to pull yourself out of. So just remember, the one thing that you can take from the space you're in to the next space without just going completely like starting from scratch.
Do you remember a bit of, like, when you went through that change period, do you remember feeling a bit lost, or were you scared?
Yeah, I was. I remember going through a couple of, it was probably like a good 3 to 6 month period where I was like in free fall, and I was just like, when is the bottom coming? That I was just like, the business was going backwards, and then I had to, so I'd never run a business before, like, and this is a note to anyone who wants to get into business with professional athletes, great as brand ambassadors, terrible for business partners. Like, I had no idea what a P&L was, what cash flow looked like, what payroll tax looked like, all these types of things that I was just like, just kept copping punch after punch. Like, oh yeah, by the way, you got a payroll tax bill. Oh, by the way, now we've got to get cash flow issues. So I was personally bankrolling the business, and it just all these really terrible business moves. So I just remember going through this period of free fall, and then it stopped, and I was like, okay, like, I'm going to be all right. Like, it's only money, it's only time. I should be able to get myself back on my feet. But yeah, there was a 3 to 6 month period there where I was like, stuff me. Like, and just that feeling of, I've never experienced anxiety before, but just that feeling of, when you're just not paying attention in the car and a car stops in front of you, and you stop and you get that like spike of like hot flush kind of thing. I remember just feeling that like most days. I would just like rock into work and I was like, what's going to be next? And like, just, you get that feeling, you're like, crap, like another frustrating thing. So yeah, but you sort of work your way out of it. And I think I've always had the attitude of there's always a way. Like, I'll find a way. Like, yeah, it's probably going to hurt a bit, but we'll find a way. It's just like a 2K time trial or something. You don't finish the time trial by just standing there. Like, you just keep going, and then you'll finish it eventually.
That's it. There's such a lesson in that. Because again, a lot of people we speak to that know they're conscious of needing to make a change, but I can't do it because of this. I can't do it because of that. I can't do it because of this. there's always a way. You've just got to start moving. You've just got to start moving. Whether I don't know what it might be. You don't need, by change, I don't mean you need to quit your job right now and then go and start this massive, crazy business idea. But just be aware of the consciousness of that you need to change. What can I start doing to get closer to that change? 'Cause I had a conversation with someone the other day. I was like, if you look at it as one big decision of current state to my future state where I want to be, that's really overwhelming, really scary. If you just start going, okay, well, what's the first step? Like just knocking it off a block at a time, 30, 60, 90 days later, you're so much closer to this current state, which at one point felt so scary. Now it feels like it's almost in reach. Just because there's always a way.
I always feel like when you're on the other side of the fence, I can remember hearing this kind of stuff. Just do the first step. And you think it's bullshit. You think it's just some fucking woo-woo hippie shit where like, the first step, you've climbed the biggest mountain, it takes one step and you're like, fuck off. But now I am that wanker who fully believes in it, right? Because it's not even about the first step's not about the first step, right? The first step might be listening to a podcast about business, right? Just using a bit of a metaphor here, but it's the behaviors and it's kind of the conviction and the energy that first step gives you to then do the second step, which becomes a lot easier. And then you go, actually, I really like this podcast. I'm going to buy a book. And by now you're listening to 2 podcasts and you've read a book. And now you might be going to see the author of that book at an event. So now you're 2 podcasts, a book and an event in. And then you've met actually someone else at the event who's on the same journey as you and they want to go the same way and they're scared. Now you've got a partnership with someone. So it's that first step, which is the scariest, but also the easiest because you've got nothing to lose at that point.
And I reckon an underrated part of that journey is documenting it, because we've got the worst memories. Like humans have terrible memories, and that's why we're investing in AI and all that kind of stuff so it can think for us. But we forget the work. You talked about the 32 blocks. We forget the blocks that we laid at the start. Oh, I didn't even remember that I did that. I just sort of take that for granted that I just know how to balance a spreadsheet now. Like if you look back and you document these things, it makes it so much more fulfilling and achievable to think, wow, like it's not that far a jump for me to make the rest of the way because I've come so far now.
And I think, it also reminds, and that doesn't mean in business. Like, since we started this business, we look back at those blocks and we go, wow, we're so guilty of just looking ahead. And we, in so many senses, we look at people like Benny and we go, we know nothing. And then when you look back at Harvard Ads 3 years ago, it's like, wow. But even before that, like, if someone's in a career, they're 10, 15 years in, they go, okay, I'm now so knowledgeable in this area. What about before you started uni? You just had this dream of this, probably exactly like the business dream. I want to be a high-level financial controller, and it probably felt like it was 15 years away. But you knew the steps. I need to go to uni, do year 1, do year 2, do year 3, make connections, go to industry events, go and get the grad job, then get the first promotion, acquire knowledge like a professional accreditation along the way. It's no different. People can do it with a career, where they're in a salary-based role, but it seems like it becomes so much more scary and heightened when it's business. And maybe it's the fact that it all ends with you then, that you go in on yourself, but really the process is the same.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that makes it less scary, and I learnt this lesson the hard way, is most people think that they're like, I'm so unfulfilled with what I'm doing now, I need to do 180 degrees the other way to find fulfillment, when really it's only like 5 to 10 degrees different. If I look at the environment that I was working at a football club as a player. So the center of the entertainment business of, if you don't have players, you don't have anything to sell. So now I'm the leadership and mental performance coach at a football club. So it's not the fact that I was at the football club that was the issue. It was the fact that my life was consumed and controlled by what you eat, when you sleep, when you holiday, and the fact that I had to do something on the weekend which challenged my values. But now I don't even have to do that anymore, but I can do all the other positive stuff, and I can help and lead and coach and do all these things that I find fulfilling. So that would be another tip that I would give people, is that don't just feel like you just throw all the toys out the cot and go, oh, I just need a new start, I'm sick of this. Really think about, what are the bits that I actually love about what I'm doing right now? And you might find it's similar to what you guys are doing with this pod. You were leadership coaches before you even knew you were, because you're helping people find purpose with their jobs. So, hey mate, what are your qualifications? What do you like? What's your experience? And then you're almost, and I hear you guys from downstairs, it's like you're almost giving them advice on, I remember Andy, he's like, so how bad is your headache today, mate? Like, because he's trying to get this guy to go to work. It's like you're coaching these people on how to just be like functional humans. So it's how do you go from being like a recruiter to a leadership coach? It's not that far when you think about it. It's like a 5 to 10 degree shift rather than just like, had enough of recruiting, we've nailed that space, let's go do something else. It's not that far if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's about leverage, right? It's about how do I leverage what I'm currently doing, but make that 10 degree pivot to drop some of the bad stuff, put in some more of the good stuff, and then that 10% swing. Okay, now I've got this great life. Yeah.
It's like your exact transition. You have shared that you struggled with mentality and coming out of that game, or even not doing the checks whilst you were building the tower. You've now slightly pivoted. You've leveraged your previous network, brand, credibility to now solve the problem that you struggled with when you were playing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and that's why I love doing things like this, is because I wish I didn't have to go, like it's taken me probably 4 years to get to that point where I feel like I can articulate it pretty clearly. But going through that journey, I was just swimming against the current, just trying to work it out. And I hope that these podcasts and books and whatever, people can shorten that gap and they don't have to go 4 years, because I was very fortunate. I don't have kids. I didn't really have like these things that were looming over my head which forced me into a decision. And I love kids. I hope I can have some one day. But yeah, when you have that responsibility for a wife and kids and a mortgage and all these things, I think that's another added, I guess, handcuff to freedom, is that you feel like, I just want to give my family the best. So I just got to stick it out and grind it.
Yeah.
Is that giving them your best though? Like, is you living your life, not living your potential, not being fulfilled, not waking up with that burning fire? Is that giving your family the best, or is actually backing yourself, knowing what you've got on the line, so you know you're going to do whatever it takes to make it work, to then come out the other side? Yes, probably make more money, but love what you do. Yeah. Is that giving your family your best, and is that showing the right example to your kids? Not to just stick into the cycle of, oh, well, we're here now, let's just keep doing it. We've got, 40 years left? Oh, well, and then we're done. See you next time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I did a post on my Instagram the other day, and it was basically along the lines of, no matter what happens here with this podcast, with Harwell, with the new business we're launching, if it all crumbles to the ground and fails, I know I can look my kids in the eye and go, I gave absolutely everything to try and create the best life possible for us. Like, I left everything on the table. Yeah. And the skills you learn in that journey, whether it works or whether it crumbles, you can start again. If it crumbles, you just pick the pieces back up and you start building. And that's why, again, it's the woo-woo thing of just take the first step. But it's like, just take the first step, because it's so easy to connect the dots backwards. Like, now you're 4 years in, you've articulated that journey so many times and understand more. It's easy to connect the dots back and give advice. When you're at the start, it's just getting started, and you'll try things and it won't work. And you, like you say, you pivot 5 degrees and you'll try it again. That did work. And it's just keep repeating that cycle.
Another little handy thing that I think I learned was, you've always kind of got just like 2 choices, really. You come to a junction and you're like, do I go to this networking lunch or do I go to my kids' recital? And you're like, I don't know. Like, if we don't get more leads in and, the business is really struggling, and then you justify like a future state that, like, from this thing, I can then go to my kids' other recitals, but you'll never get that recital back. There's plenty of other networking, so that you've always got just 2 choices, basically. That, what do you want to value right now? Like, do you want to value and invest in the future, or do you want to value and invest in, well, I guess you're investing in the future for both, whether it's for your family or your faith or whatever, or for your business. You just got to work out which is the one you want to invest in or which one you want to value.
And that decision would change, I think, based off past, not performance, but say you've just been to 10 networking events in a row.
Yep.
Easy decision.
Yeah.
No. You go to the recital.
They were class.
You go to the recital, right? Yeah. Or let's say you've been to 10 recitals in a row. your business is struggling, there's a few clients, you might go, hey, I think actually the better thing as a collective is for me to go there. So it's definitely not a one-on-one kind of decision, is it? It's not one in, one out. It's a look at the past, it's a look at the future, but it's an honest look.
Yeah.
It's not that bullshit, but I could meet him and make $1 million. You can always kid yourself and make it sound really sensible of why you should do it. It's that deep looking, okay, well, little Tommy's probably going to be pissed off and this might scar him forever, right? Because I haven't seen him sing his favourite song.
Yeah, with the kids, there's only ever one answer.
Yeah.
It's the recital.
Yeah.
Time and time again. Like your child won't ever remember the extra bedroom you had in your house. Like they'll just remember the time daddy didn't come to recital.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned of becoming a parent now. The first is the easy decision is always them.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a it's so difficult at sometimes that internal battle in my head. It's like grow the business, have more balance, grow the business, have more balance, grow the business to have more balance.
Yeah. But do you think that's easier for you now because you have financial freedom and because you have financial stability than like you think about the vast majority of Australians and vast majority of the world who they are well and truly trapped.
Yeah.
They're trapped in this financial system, leveraged to the tilt, and it's not a choice.
Hey guys, it's Jake and Lockie from Naturally Cooked Sunscreen, and we are pumped to be sponsoring the Two Blokes, One Business podcast.
We're on a mission to foster a generation of Australians who take sun safety more seriously and encourage it amongst their mates. You can find us at naturallycooked.com.au or follow us at Naturally Cooked Sunscreen.
Yeah, that's a question I was going to ask you, and this is a very biased podcast potentially because we're all sat here with businesses. I have an opinion on this, but do you think this life we're talking about building, where you create your own promised land, right, and you work towards it, do you think that's possible if you don't own a business or become self-employed and you're working for someone else?
I'm not educated enough in macroeconomics, but you'd have to think there's a way. And that maybe that's my personality, that there has to there's so many different tipping points at the moment with whether it's cryptocurrency or AI or just being a hard worker, being a tradie that can show up and do the job. Because no one really wants to work hard anymore. They want to try and get AI to do their job for them, and then they just make the money sitting back on their couch and watching Netflix.
Doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist. So if you're a hard worker, I think it's always possible. But a hard worker with strategy, you need to have the strategy that I think there's a lot of people that probably have the work ethic, and that's probably my dad's generation and probably dad and a half, between my dad and my granddad, that they would just work themselves into the ground when really they could have just dropped the shovel and bought an excavator and then had a couple of days off. So I think it's always possible, but sometimes you got to take a step back to go forward. That do I need to move out of my place in Palm Beach and maybe go to the hinterland for a year and just not pay so much rent, just to take the weight off so I can have a strategic look now, rather than feeling like I've got to pay $1,200 a week to rent in Palm Beach so I can keep up appearances, and then I've got to go to dinner every 2 nights. You can meal prep for cheaper than that.
I think what's really coming through there, 2 things: self-sacrifice, delayed gratification. I think they're 2 things that people really struggle with these days, because on the external, everyone else is making $1 million whilst working an hour a week, whilst being on the yacht, because that's what they want to show you of their life. Yeah. Obviously, we all know you look into the hood, it's a very different story, but the self-sacrifice piece, I want to live in Palm Beach and spend $1,200. I don't want to sacrifice that lifestyle potentially, or that impression of my lifestyle. And the delayed gratification, I don't want to go and move away for a year so then future me thanks me for it.
Yeah.
That's where the big issue comes, I see.
I think as well what you said, I think one leads into the other when we're talking about doing it for someone else or doing it for yourself. I think if you are the super high performer and hard worker as a tradie for someone else, I think naturally, because you've changed your internal, or maybe you've had it the whole time, those internal values and characteristics of being a hard worker, and that naturally will mean you're a high performer in your field or in your business. And I think when you go on that trajectory, all of a sudden we're talking about those small steps along the way. You then go, well, I've got to go and do it for myself. because I've got such a good reputation. I've got results so much for someone else. And I look around and I know I'm better than 90% of people in this field. I can then go and do it for myself, which I then think takes you down the path of financial freedom, time freedom, and money freedom. It's not as easy as that at the start. When you go back to yourself, you probably got to be happy to sacrifice those for a period of time to then gain it back at a much larger scale.
I think to maybe go back one step, like the question was that, do you have to own your own business? I don't necessarily think you do, because if you use that example, if you're a really hard worker and you align yourself with the right values-based person and your boss is a good human that respects your work ethic, they're probably going to give you a share of the company anyway. Like, let's say if you're a brickie or something like that, and he's like, mate, you can lay 500 bricks a day. I don't know what it is, but like, you're amazing. I can get heaps of work for you. Do you want to partner up and let's do it together? And it's like, you don't have to run the business, but you can keep doing what you're doing, play to your strengths, and we can team up and become a powerhouse. So it's more about like values alignment. If you're both hardworking and you know what your strengths are and how you complement each other, like, I'm sure you guys have had plenty of conversations about how you can complement each other and not sort of keep mowing the same grass. I think that can alleviate the pressure of thinking, I'm just a really good bricklayer. But to run a business would be a really stressful, challenging situation for me. But I like the idea of earning more than just, $2 a brick sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the big thing we always come back to is it time for money or is it time for results?
Yeah.
You know, and the bricklayer here, right, his results have now got him a share of the company. So as much as he's time for money with his hourly rate, he's also now getting money for the results of the business overall. Like Andy's a great example here, right? So we brought him in to start the labour hire division for us, working for us. But then when we get to a certain point, he'll then have shares in that. Yep. So he's earned his way into ownership because he's built it from the ground up. So it's deserved for him.
But then at the same time as well, he says, like, we had a chat the other day, we were here late, and he goes, I couldn't do what you boys do at the moment. So it's just like business isn't going to be for everyone. So I like that take on it of that pathway. But even if you don't go down the shares pathway, if you are so valuable to a business and you have such a good relationship with a boss, when you go, hey, kids' recitals at 10 o'clock on Friday, I'd break his heart if I'm not there.
Done.
If the values are so aligned, that boss says, mate, get gone. Go and do it.
And then the discretional effort, because your values aligned, and this is potentially another bit of a power struggle, is that bosses tend to withhold information. Like if you just open the kimono and say, hey mate, this is what I pay you, this is how much you bring in for us, I need to have margin here to pay for overheads and stuff like that. If we work together, if we wanted to restructure this a bit, then it could work fine. They're going like, okay, I can contribute to the business rather than just the task that I'm doing. And then you start to have a bit more of that sort of adult conversation around, okay, how can I maximize my time here? The discretional effort lifts because it's like, the kids have gone to bed, so I can quickly like smash out an hour of work. And that's when, you really start to respect the people that you're with, is this that mutual vulnerability of, hey, this is what I want, but this is what it's going to take. And you sort of put yourself out there on a limb, hoping that they're not going to take advantage of it. But I love that.
I think leadership's changing drastically. I think in today's day and age, there's more entrepreneurs than ever. Like so many more people, like so many high performers that just know they're destined for more, are taking the chance on themselves and building these small boutique businesses in industries that have always been dominated by big corporates. So I think the separation of boss or owner to employee is definitely changing and becoming a lot closer. And I think probably that's where there's a lot more conversations like that happening, where these smaller company owners are effectively going, I can really see the value of these people. And I know how easy it is in some sense to go and do it for myself, because I have, but also how easy it would be for them to do it for themselves. What can I structure to keep them within this ecosystem? So I think that's where, one, that pathway is available, but two, the leadership style is changing. It's not just a, hey, you should be happy you've got a job, do what I say and get on with it. It's all about how can I keep these people, especially high performers.
And collaboration is always far more powerful than compete or control. So I'm collaborating with my team rather than controlling my team or competing with my team. And it's the same with if you think that everyone out there is like, say you every other recruiter in Australia is your competition, rather than like, hey mate, I'm not in this space, but do you want to? I've got this guy who wants a job at this company. Do you want to just take him? And it comes back all the time because you're just playing to your strengths. You're collaborating, and it's not sort of just like, oh, I can do this better, and then you end up placing him in the wrong job and forcing him there. Then you get a bad reputation because you're trying to be too controlling. Yeah, you just always want to, complement each other and support.
That was exactly what was like in our old company. Hey, you kind of ring fence. You'd never speak to any recruiters. You know, we're the best. We don't need anyone else. And then we come out of that and start our own.
Yeah.
And then you go, wow, what a community of people who genuinely just want to help other people.
Yeah.
Right. I recruit in construction. If I've got someone in manufacturing, I know the boys to send them to who will give them an awesome service, and vice versa. We spoke a lot about kind of the world changing. AI, we mentioned the different bits and pieces. What are some of the traits that will just stand the test of time? Like, what's the kind of characteristics of a person that if it was 100 years ago and they were riding the horse, if it's 20 years ago and they're working in the factories, or if it's 20 years' time, what are the key characteristics of someone who will always be of value and have purpose, do you think?
The biggest one, we talked about hard work, which I think is a no-brainer. The other one I think is self-reflection and justification. So when we think about, we all have imposter syndrome. We all think, and we have those days where we think, I've just achieved nothing today, that I feel frustrated and I feel like I'm no good. So if you can be self-reflective enough, so it's like you catch yourself in that thought and okay, this is a feeling. It doesn't determine who I am, but it's just a feeling. And then you go through the process of, okay, how have I gotten to this point? Well, I just had one conversation at the end of the day with someone who just wasn't happy with me. Was I in control of that outcome? Maybe, maybe not. But actually, I did 5 other really good things today. And then you can start to justify the other side of the coin. It's like, no, actually, today was a pretty good day. And this is one thing I work really hard with the professional athletes at the Suns with is, if you go too far down the thought spiral, and you don't catch yourself, that's when the momentum goes back the other way. It's when you can just catch yourself in that thought of like, oh, wow, this is a weird feeling. Why am I feeling this? Let me go through the thought process. Oh, that's a silly thought. And then you go off into a next best action. What's the next best action that I can do to get the spiral up the other way? Because we all have the cycle of thoughts, feelings, and actions, right? I think a thought, I feel a feeling. So I wake up and I'm feeling nervous. So the thought that I think off the back of that is, I'm feeling nervous because I had an argument with Karen in the office the other day and I hope I don't run into her today. I'm just going to stay home. So, and then now you feel nervous and embarrassed that you hadn't, and it just keeps going down. Whereas I feel nervous. Oh, it's because I had an argument with Karen the other day. Maybe I'll send her a text and say, hey, Karen, I just want to say I'm really sorry about the other day. It was a bit awkward. I'm really looking forward to having a coffee with you at work today. Next best action, positive. You get to work, you feel confident and positive, and then it starts to go back up the other way. So the thoughts, feelings, actions loop is, and as a professional athlete, I miss a kick or a goal goes through. I'm no good. I'm never going to get a spot in the next tier above. So then you're probably going to head down, you're not going to focus on the ball, goal goes through again, and it starts to spiral down rather than, oh, well, that was just a goal, really good shot, well done, mate, on your toes, foot strike, get your routine of what's the next best action to control it. So long-winded answer to your question, but I think it's definitely that self-awareness and then justification to be able to get to a better outcome.
It's a learned skill. It's a real learned skill, and I do think that at the core, we're not all that different. And people that, will look at perhaps some of these super successful people go, yeah, but they just naturally got it. I don't think they have. I think they've just perhaps, whether it's circumstances as a child growing up or a background like professional football, they are just better at initiating and dealing with that feedback loop to then work through that discomfort or that feeling and keep moving forward. Like you talk about imposter syndrome, and you still get imposter syndrome quite frequently.
Yeah.
You're touted as one of the best AFL defenders of all time. Like, for people to sit at home and listen to this and go, oh, cool, if Alex Rance gets imposter syndrome, maybe what I'm feeling here is actually quite normal. I just need to master that feedback loop to be able to work through it and then action and keep moving forward off the back of it. Do you think that's why a lot of ex-professional sports people can go into business and do really well? because naturally, and Adam shared, you've said so much, like the reason he thinks we do so well now is because in the English football world, not in a positive way, you just get smashed, but you have to learn to take on that feedback and then go and action off the back of it.
Yeah, looking at feedback as just information rather than, so that just is the thought piece, like rather than, what did he mean by that? Oh, because he's giving me this feedback, does that mean I'm going to get dropped? And then you start to think about the justification around it rather than like, thanks very much, I'm going to take that piece of information and use it for my outcome rather than, is this a positive or a negative thing? It's just information. Any information is good information. So, yeah, I think and maybe social media has perpetuated this, it's like trolling, like really negative, nasty, like degrading feedback, or the other end, it's like, you're the best, look at this. So it's like this such an extreme where it's hard to put the two together, whereas in professional sport, it's kind of just like, this is what you did well, this is what you didn't do well, and there's a balance of both, and then you pick the information, make a plan forward, and away you go. Whereas it's so extreme now, and kids are exposed to it at such a younger age that they can't regulate it. Like, what am I? Am I really worth nothing? Or am I a superstar streamer that's going to be, shouting people hundreds of thousands of dollars on the street? Like,
I'm both toxic for you, right? Because the magic is staying level, right? I'm never as good as I think I am, and I'm never as bad as I think I am as well. Another trait I'm barking on about a lot is being high agency at the moment.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is, are you person A who goes to work, gets given their list of instructions, gets told what they need to do, and then just goes one by one, works through it. If there's a problem pops up, great, I'm going to solve that myself. I know what information I need to find to go and find the solution. Now I'm on task 3. Okay, well, actually task 2 has changed task 3. So what I'm going to do now is evaluate where I want to go at the end. Okay, I've actually got to change tack here a little bit. Can I think for myself? Can I make good decisions? Can I problem solve? Not necessarily by yourself, because you've got managers and bosses of the company who want to help, but can you make really good decisions and solve complex problems first, or at least try to, and then come with information solutions, as opposed to person B? Okay, here's my big task list. Our task 1 is send 10 emails out. Oh, I can't remember my password. Hey, boss, what's my password? Fuck. Task 2. Okay, now we need to call these 5 people. Oh, I haven't got a number for him. Hey, I haven't got, everything is just help me, as opposed to, okay, I've actually figured this out myself. That's what I think is going to be a massive skill moving forwards, particularly with AI and even offshore remote professionals. There's a lot of doers out there these days, or tools that can do, but there's not a lot of thinkers.
Yeah, I agree. I think and if we apply it back to my sporting career and playing sport in general, it's the concept of keeping a ball out of a net is a task, right? But there's a lot of different ways to do it, and you could just sit there and say nothing and wait for the ball to come to you, and then you bat it away, or you could punch it away because you just told me to not let it get in the net, or you could catch it and then get it back on the rebound. Like, how are you turning something from something quite simple into something better? And I reckon that was one of my strengths, but also an area of improvement for me when I was younger, is I was always thinking about what was happening next. And it's probably a little bit of undiagnosed ADD, but at the back, I could always sort of see a couple of plays ahead that I'd be like, okay, hey, Dave, this one's coming your way. You got to push up, like ready to go. I've got your back, so don't worry about it going over the back. You sorted. And then, Dave, we're going back out this way. So I'd always try and think about that, 1 or 2 steps ahead. The only challenge that I found going out was trying to learn what was the next step. So you kind of, and I think people try to jump to free agency too soon. They haven't done their apprenticeship to learn that this is what's next. So if you try and jump that curve too early, you're going to make more mistakes and you're probably going to feel disappointed and feel like it's not for you, because I just want freedom. I want to be able to do whatever I want. Like, instead of being like, okay, I just need to do my time, work it out, and then you can break the system. But at least learn the system first before you think you've got all the answers.
It's patience versus ambition, isn't it? It's that patience to, like you say, learn the system, do your hypothetical apprenticeship or actual apprenticeship in whatever you're doing, but then also like having enough ambition that you're still moving forward, but not too much that you skip all the steps. Because with the world nowadays, social media, AI platforms, podcasts, all the free learning out there, information has never been so accessible. And you can overwhelm yourself because there's so many different voices and so many different opinions. So it's just balancing that patience and ambition, but then also listening to the right information and not too much and just kicking through.
And that's probably another one. So we talked about hard work. We talked about self-awareness. We talked about agency. Loyalty is another one that I think is probably underrated these days. That it just, if you can, and it speaks to just doing your apprenticeship, that you see a lot of professional sports players before they've even finished, they're already ripping up a contract that they just got paid like $250 million to go to an NFL team. And they're like, I'm not getting paid enough. I think I want more. So you need to match that. It's like, whoa, like I showed you the loyalty when you were nothing, and now that you're something, it doesn't get repaid. Like, I think loyalty might be an interesting one. What do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, Daniel Priestley says he awesome entrepreneur, helps people become entrepreneurs, and he says if you want to be an entrepreneur in 2026 or the next few years, go and work for an entrepreneur. Yeah, understudy them for 2 to 3 years, almost as like your entrepreneurial apprenticeship. But I think as well, if you show that person loyalty and work hard and add enough value, you get to the end of the 3 years. If you're a bright enough person, that entrepreneur is going to turn around and say, hey, I don't want to lose you. Here's some skin in the game.
Yeah.
Well, here's an opportunity for both of us to go and start with.
That loyalty is rewarded. As business owners now, where we sat here, there's nothing more comforting than people out there on that floor, just in.
Yeah.
Like, and you naturally want to go above and beyond to help those people. You want to reward them, whether it's pay rises, bonuses, eventually equity. Like that loyalty goes a long way, rather than the person sat out there that goes, and thankfully we don't have any of these, but the person that sat there going, are you going to be here in 6 months? Are you going to be here next week? Are you going to be here in 2 years? Are you doing this for us? Are you doing this for yourself? Like, it's just that unease.
Yeah.
It's a funny shift, isn't it? Because then I'm thinking back, if that's our circumstance, great. Are you going to be here for a week or a month or a year? Well, great. We've actually got, a sales training boot camp we want to send people to. We're going to invest thousands of dollars. Do I want to invest thousands of dollars into you if actually the loyalty is not there and it's not going to be repaid back? And then when you start to have those thoughts in your head, it really tarnishes the whole environment. Like, I know we're very big now on self-development. Luckily, the guys are all in, right? So one of our goals on the board, we have 3 goals a week. The first one is your work goal. What's going to move the needle? For me, that's going to be arranging 5 interviews with clients. The second one is your professional development goal. So for me, that's going to listen to one of the new Diary CEO podcasts. And on a Friday, I'm going to share to the group what I've learned. Yeah. So everyone does one task for the week. That's going to make them better from Monday to Friday, and they share what they've learned. And then the third one's a bit of a personal, which for me is not snoozing the alarm at all this week.
Which is one of the biggest challenges in I had to move my phone from beside my bed.
I used to plug it in the bathroom. Yeah. Because then the alarm goes off and I've got to get up. Yeah. But even that, like, they're just tiny little building blocks, micro building blocks across the period of 5 days. But if you don't snooze your alarm any days this week, Adam Powell on Friday is going to be way better, way more productive, way more energetic, way more happy than Adam Powell on Monday.
Well, what does that mean? If I haven't snoozed my alarm, that means then I've got up and gone for the run or gone to the gym.
Yeah.
That means I've come back and I've got my diet sorted for the day because I want to maximize what I've done in the morning.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to sleep better because I've used some more energy. So I'm going to wake up better. So again, it's that first step type mentality, isn't it?
But then the internal, you've built trust with yourself. There's a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like, you start to, okay, well, the 4 a.m. alarm that I didn't snooze, that's become easy now. That hard thing that on Monday felt really hard, that doesn't feel that hard anymore.
Yeah.
And then you do that hard thing, you're like 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, that was hanging over me for weeks. So this new hard thing that's just come up, I'm not going to let that sit over me for weeks. I'm going to knock that over. Yeah. And then now you're looking back over a period of 4 weeks, you're going, cool, I'm a different person here. Yeah. And that's just 4 weeks.
Ties into momentality.
Yep.
Yeah, tie really into that. I guess, how would you use that kind of case, or me snoozing the alarm, and tie that into, I guess, your world?
The way that, and I'm not even sure that momentality is a word. I just
like
kind of smashed a few together.
It's good.
It was
trademark that.
Yeah, it was around the concept of using moments, momentum, and momentous occasions, and the mentality that it is to start from a moment. So every time, and I think about this whenever I'm going, and again, a lot of my identity is tied up with my physicality, but it's always your first moment. So when you're starting a 200 meter sprint, if you go, and you got 5 quick steps, you're going to knock way more time off than you try and exert yourself for the last 10 meters of the 200. So it's about getting those moments in early. So you had a moment in the morning where I've got a choice. This moment, do I snooze or do I turn the alarm off, go to the toilet, brush my teeth, and get outside and go to the gym? Like, it's about that owning the moment, which generates the momentum that prepares you for the momentous occasion. And so go.
I love it. Yeah. That's so good.
And so I think I always try to think about that now is, what's the moment that am I just being taken by the momentum of this, or what's the moment that I can take to be able to either generate more momentum, or I'm going backwards. What's the moment that I could do to stop this? And there's a few times now where because I'm trying to get more active on social media, it's also a trap too, where you can start scrolling and then you get caught in it. It's like moment. Like, what's the moment I need to do now to make myself more productive? Put the phone down, get back into what I need to be doing, or put time caps into things. So yeah, the concept of owning moments and being mindful as well, and catching yourself in those moments is important.
I think the environment can play a lot into that. And that's where I think safety and comfort can be quite counterintuitive to that mindset, because if you're in a really secure job and you've got a salary, you can choose not to do the hard things, and you're going to get your pay packet. Yeah. And I think that's why professional sports people are so good, because it's such a cutthroat environment where if you don't do that hard thing and get better at that thing that you're not very good at, there's a queue of 1,000 blokes waiting to take your one spot. Yeah. So that's kind of embedded into you. And I also think that's why people, when they start in business, they supercharge their life on all fronts, because now you've taken that risk and you no longer have that safety net of a salary or the comfort. You have to do the hard things, because really you might not be able to pay yourself or pay your mortgage or feed your kids at the end of the month. So again, it's just the environment that you can create for yourself. It's like we're more likely to move away from pain than we are to move towards pleasure. So I think that first step of just putting yourself into that space where it's like, we say burn the boats and going all in.
Yeah.
All of it becomes really easy because you've actually got no other option.
Yeah. And just one more, that's one thing that I've started to bring into my mental vocabulary. It's just, if I've got a heap of emails and I'm just like, I just want to scroll for a bit, or I just want to go play with the dog and I've just had enough, I'm hungry, or I'm just making excuses in my mind, I'll just go, just one more. And then I'll just do one more email, and then I'm in the next one. And so again, that's a moment where it's just one more, rather than I've got 50 to go. I need a break. I need a break to get through this 50. Whereas if you're just it's just one more. Same with, if you think about your running program and you've got 24 200s, you're like, oh, this is going to be a tough day. No, I've got 1 times 24.
Yeah, nice.
I've got to just do one at a time, and I've just got to get out 5 steps fast. Blah, blah, blah. And then you can break down the moment, the one more, all the way back to just your very first step. What's my next best moment? So I finished my 200. I check my watch. I know the time. I'm watching my clock, controlling my breath. That's the moment I need. Ready to go. Bang. Before you know it, wow, I've already done 10. Awesome. How good's this? When if you just mince around, you're 24 is going to be hard. It's hot. I should go later. It's you're already making excuses. Just do it now, and one more. They're sort of some things that have helped me a little bit.
I love that. Talking about momentum. We've had a lot of momentum since we started the businesses. What have we lost a bit of momentum at certain points? I think one is trying to do too much. And I think the second one is then probably also believing our own bullshit of how good we are, particularly early on. We storm out the traps our first month, did over 6 figures in a month. I mean, fuck, here we go. And then we started taking 2-hour lunch breaks and swirling around pack fair. And the next month we did 8K. Right? Oh, shit. Which was the best thing that ever happened, because then we knew when we're on, things work. As soon as we take the foot off the gas, things fall apart. So we don't really suffer with that one anymore, I don't think. No. What we do suffer with is that opportunity piece. Okay, great. Now we've got a podcast, got a business, got a new one. Let's do this. Oh shit, then I'm getting married, so I've got to do that as well. And then, our mum's here now as well. And I've got my honeymoon. So there's a lot of life that we try and squeeze into our 7 days or 24 hours, which that's how we get caught up momentum-wise, I think. Based off, I guess, your frameworks, if you like, even principles and Momentality, how do we kind of get not back on track, but how do we mitigate the lack of momentum in that sense moving forwards?
I think the first thing is don't stop, because that'll completely kill your momentum. It's like, we use the analogy of riding a bike. You don't just like, as soon as you start to feel a little bit of resistance on the pedals, and so your momentum's slowing down, hop off the bike, and then we just start walking up the hill. Like, just gear back and work out which are the gears that need to go back, because we're almost riding a bike with 5 pedals kind of thing. There's 5 lots of pedals. You got the family, and you got business, then you got physical, and then you got all these other different things, emotional. So you just need to work out like which one needs to be geared back. That, work could be running at like, high gear, but is family then having it a slow grind to get it through? So then do I need to click that one back to? So it's more about, and we've spoken about a lot of these principles, just having that self-awareness to say, okay, let's just pause for a little bit. Which does need to be geared back to get me to still be moving forward? Because there will be a time when all of them can just be hooping at like the highest gear. But yeah, at this point in time, we're feeling that feeling. So which one should we gear back?
Which one is it, Halves?
Hey?
Which one is it?
Yeah, no, it's good. I talk about this quite a lot. I just say that there's no such thing as perfect balance for me. I think it comes in waves. Like, we'll push on the business for 3 months because we know we've got to get over a milestone of setting up structures so new people can come into the business in the new year. So I know these last 3 months of the year are going to be tough. Family's probably, that family pedal is going to be really hard to push.
Yeah.
But then at Christmas, bit of time off. We're going away to a family festival with our extended family. So the work one's going to almost completely stop, and that family one's going to get supercharged. And it's like spinning all the plates, isn't it? Yeah. It's like you're just keeping them all. You haven't got 5 arms.
I reckon always the go-to when I think about if I've started to feel some resistance and lacking momentum, it's always sleep.
Oh, okay.
Like, sleep is such a big one and it wasn't until I realized, because I'm a bit of a night owl, that the hours that you get before 12 a.m. are always more valuable than the hours that you get after.
Okay.
In terms of the sleep hours?
Yeah, in terms of the quality of sleep. So I don't know the science behind it, but I know how it makes me feel, definitely. Like if I went to bed at 8 o'clock and then woke up at 5 o'clock, so that's 9 hours, that would be better than me going to bed at 12 and waking up at 9.
Got ya.
Because the quality of sleep, so it's the same volume of hours, but the quality is always better before. Yeah. So whenever I'm feeling that, I'm just like, oh, that's right. I've come home from work, had dinner with Corinda. We had a really nice night. And then I jumped on the computer until 11:30 to do a bit of extra work. And then, I might have slept until 7:30. And then you get into a bit of sleep debt. If you're feeling physically good, you'll naturally find a way and the momentum will keep going. But I think that's the one, especially with like young families too. Like if you try, and I don't have kids, but you're a victim to them. Like if they sleep, you sleep. If not, like
it's tough. But my sleep routine has become that because of I go to sleep at 8. I wake up at 4.
Yeah,
because 4 to 6 is my 2 hours for the day. Get up, do my gym session, come home. You're knackered by 8. You put the kids to bed. You go to sleep. Yeah, but I don't actually feel that tired. Yeah. Like, you get worn down and stuff like that. But I'm not like there yawning all day.
Yeah,
like you've got loads of energy. That's the first time I've heard about that. Yeah. The sleep quality.
A big one. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a question before we wrap up. I want us all to answer it.
Yeah.
Because hopefully there's a lot of people listening to this that are sat on a business idea and they just need that push. So they're sat there, they're in a secure job, a salary job, but they just know they're destined for more. From each of us, what's the one thing or what's the process that they can do that might make that leap or that nudge a little bit easier?
I've got one that's probably haven't mentioned this before. It's popped in my head. I think share it with other people.
Okay.
I think get a bit of accountability from people around you to go, hey, Alex, we're going to start this new business. This is who we're going to help. This is what we want to do. And hopefully, especially with your background, Alex, if I was speaking to you, you'd be able to go, great, don't forget A, B, C. Awesome. I've just learned 3 things that were outside of my world of knowledge. Now my world's a little bit bigger because I'm aware of that. So share it, 1, with people for accountability, but 2, just for, I guess, insights that at that level of knowledge that you have got, it's just not within your world. So you grow your knowledge base a little bit.
It's almost research. It's live research, isn't it? In a way.
But through people.
Yeah.
Because I think if you do it from AI, you just blow your brains out, and it's really counterintuitive then, and you actually kind of have analysis paralysis where, because there's so much information, you don't know where to start. So I think if you start in a building business, go and speak to who of your mates knows a builder. Where can I just buy you a coffee, mate? This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because by asking the person, not the AI platform, this person hypothetically in their brain has all the knowledge of that AI platform, but they're probably going to give you the 3 top tips, the 3 most critical things for where you're at in your life cycle of starting that business, that building business. Yeah. What about you, mate?
One of the key frameworks that I use for Momentality is, it's called an IBAR framework. So it's identity, belonging, acknowledgement, reward, to give you, and so there's sort of worksheets for each one, but I think with identity, it gets broken down into 2. So organizational identity and individual identity. So when you feel connected to the organizational identity, you know clearly what the mission, vision, values, strategic objectives, all that kind of stuff are. You're naturally more likely to stay there, be successful, feel fulfilled in it. If you can also clearly understand what your individual identity is and how that plugs into and can support the strategic objectives, overall mission, and you can live the values, that's where you feel the belonging. You get regularly acknowledged and you get the rewards you want. So if you then reverse engineer that to a place that you're already at, I would go, I know the constant. So if we're talking about algebra, like the constant is me. So I know this is my identity. So these are my skill sets. This is my mentality. This is my purpose. These are what makes me feel really good, and this is what makes me feel not good. And then I go, this is an industry that I think I want to get into. And then you start to create your organizational identity that way. And it's like you're starting it from scratch without even investing in anything. And it's similar to what you were saying about getting feedback from others. It's almost like using your own gut as a bit of feedback. That if you go, okay, so I think I want to start a company with this, and what would the company be called? What would its values be? What would its strategic objectives be? What would the mission overall? And then very quickly you'll go through and think about, that's not going to work. But if you can align an organizational identity with your individual identity, that's where like really cool, fun things happen. So if you wanted to go out on your own, just reverse engineer it. So know you and be clear on you, but then go, what's the organization that I would want to build for myself? And in what industry?
That's gold.
Love it. Mine would probably be mastering the power of the micro. And what I mean by that is, it's so easy now. So say you got that business idea. It's so easy to look at the macro, the big picture. Fuck, that seems so far away. How hard is that? Actually, just break it down to the micro steps. Okay, well, what do I need to make this work? Let's look at the first 3 months. How quickly can I earn money in this new business idea? Okay, I think it's going to take me a month in recruitment. It'll take me a month to land my first deal. I'll get paid on that 2 weeks later. Okay, 6 weeks. Now let's double that just to give me a bit of runway, a bit of risk management. 12 weeks. What are my living expenses? Okay, can I get 12 weeks of living expenses banked up to then take away that risk? Cool, I can. Now, what's the release valve? I go try this for 12 weeks. If it doesn't work, in my profession, I'm pretty sought after. So I can jump back in and go back to the security. Okay, I'm comfortable with that. What's the potential? Okay, well, I go out, I make this first placement in 4 to 6 weeks. So I make 3. And then all of a sudden I've got money in the bank and we're away and I've got runway. So I think just going and working out those micro steps make that big, scary business idea, actually it becomes quite achievable. And I think it's a skill that when you're in business, your macro becomes your North Star. Like we've got some really big, crazy goals, but that's out there. That's the North Star we're moving towards. We always break down, okay, what are the 1 year steps, the 2 year steps? So I think
such a good one.
Big picture, it's a good thing to master, but also in the here and now to actually make that jump feel a little bit less scary. I think that's where I'll be going.
Sounds like the ChatGPT that, mate, to be fair. No, that is a good one.
That's half GPT.
Yeah.
But I've actually loved this chat. I think the perspective, mate, from yourself of literally being the top of the top in the nation's favourite sport is so valuable and really refreshing to hear that it wasn't all just hard work and grunt and a bit of luck. There was actually a lot of reflection in there as to what you were as a player to who you are now, and even like as sad as it sounds, knowing that you've been through some shit. People want to know that. They don't just want to see this poster boy Alex Rance who's sailed through life and life's been easy. They need to know that there's been a down to then come out the other side, because it makes you more real.
And I'm still not like, if I compare the two, like if I compare the status that I had in that industry, I'm still nowhere near that. Like I'm still working towards feeling that feeling of like full momentum, downhill cycling. So, and I'm actually enjoying that like grind a little bit as well too. So I think, having some patience and kindness with yourself too, that, I needed to be a bit more kinder to myself in the first probably 2 or 3 years, because I expected myself to be brilliant straight away, but I wasn't. So I'm still working. We're all still working, but I love the journey, and it's great. I loved your point, Ads, about you've got to share stuff with each other, because that really does help when you do have those thoughts of imposter syndrome, like I'm not good enough. It's like, think that, just keep going.
Yeah.
Mate, that's been an absolute belter. Thanks for coming on, being so honest and sharing all of it, mate.
Cheers, Rancy.